Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
The Saratoga City Council meeting, an inside look at the decisions that affect you and our community.
Good evening, and welcome to our June 4th, 2019 City Council meeting. We are starting this evening with one public hearing, Liberty Affordable Housing, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Commissioner Frank, sorry.
Other end. Yeah,
yes,
he's
sorry.
got hair on that end. This has been on for a number of months, and the petitioner has asked us to keep this on. This is a 5-minute public hearing relating to the proposed affordable housing at the end of Jefferson Street.
Great. If anybody would like to speak on this, please step forward. Please give your name and address.
Hi, Darlene McGraw. I live on Jefferson Street. I call it Jefferson.
Can we get that mic on, please? Thank you.
Darlene McGraw. I live on Jefferson Street. I refer to it as Jefferson Highway because it seems more like a highway than a street. There's cars that go driving wacky on it, and unless we plan on doing something now for this, adding more housing, especially if there's children or older adults there, I don't think it's very safe. And I spoke with some individuals and a gentleman from Liberty Housing. He told me that it is going to be 30% of your income and no more of that if you are low income. So I'm hoping the city will give some numbers with what they define affordable housing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, and we'll keep this open, and we'll continue this public hearing going forward. We will start the meeting in 4 minutes, so I have to wait till 7 o'clock. Okay, we'll move the meeting on. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Frank?
Present.
Commissioner Madigan?
Present.
Commissioner Trucco?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Mayor Kelly?
Here.
Supervisor Beach?
Here.
Supervisor Gaston? Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the public comment period. I ask that you try to keep your comments brief, up to 2 minutes. There will be a bell to signify the end of your time. The public comment period will be for 15 minutes. Please be respectful to the speakers while addressing the council, and please address the council as a whole. Anyone who wishes to address the council upon any issue may now come forward and state your name and address and provide your comments. Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of council, good evening. Kevin Roney, Vice President, Saratoga Hospital. What I'd like to address tonight are a couple of the alternative locations that the neighbors have been promoting for our medical office center. They've asked that we build it on top of the existing hospital. We have limited space in the existing building with which to expand. That space is planned for future inpatient expansion as well as for those services that can only be delivered within the walls of the hospital. They have suggested that we build on top of the 2 existing single-story buildings on the west side of Myrtle Street. The hospital doesn't own either of those buildings. The dialysis clinic is independent of us. It's a ground lease. The medical office building is also on a ground lease and is not owned by us. Neither of those lots would be large enough in either case to be able to satisfy our needs. They suggested we build on top of our existing 2-story office building. That building is ours, and we would have liked it to go taller. The problem was going taller disrupted the flight path of the helicopter. That's the main flight path in and out of the helipad. Our neighbors on Woodland Court will remember about 15 years ago, they hired a lawyer to prevent the hospital from ever moving that helipad to a different location. And lastly, they've suggested that we build in the big lot where our employees park on the west side of Myrtle Street. That has the same issue with height limitation. Not only would we need to accommodate both the medical office center as well as a parking garage in that space, the parking garage has to accommodate up to 800 cars. We have to accommodate parking not just for the medical office building, but for the 400+ employees that park over there. That would start to get that building very tall. That building would be on the order of about $15.75 million. It's not a good use of our dollars. It's not where we think the healthcare money should be spent. It does nothing for patient care. The other concern we have is where do those 400 cars go while that construction is underway? I've been in an organization where we've tried busing employees from off-site during construction period. I will tell you the employees don't like it. They find a way. They'll be parking on the side streets in front of the neighbors' houses, blocking their driveways. They'll come home at night, and our second shift employees will be there. We believe Morgan Street is the best location, and we've looked at this extensively.
Thank you.
Name's Dennis Holte, 19 Collins Terrace, if it's okay if I use the easel.
Sure.
They say the hospital just said they don't know where to build it. They want to destroy a neighborhood here, and it's basically all of Woodland Court, half of Myrtle Street, and all of south side of Morgan Street. They want to build here on Morgan Street when they could build here just north of their parking lots and the DeGress property. So they put out a site plan, 2015 amended PUD amendment. They told us where they wanted to build it. They kept quiet on here, except in fine print in Zone F, it says 42 residences, 15 per acre along the golf course. So now is in this suite, you guys are nice guys, you want to build.
Can you please address the council, please?
You want to build, or the hospital wants to build, a 88,000 square foot commercial building on Morgan Street, but save north of their existing campus for residential housing. Why not flip it? Put their residential housing, those 42 housing units, 15 per acre, on Morgan Street, and then put their 88,000 square foot building with 300 parking spots as a continuation of their campus along Myrtle Street. So, also, they've started to buy up this neighborhood south of them. They have 2 lots on Woodland Court and Morgan Street on the west side. It's tax map 165.41, lots 6 and 8. They are redlining or blockbusting this neighborhood. They intend to build over there so to drive the prices of these houses down and then start buying up the rest of these houses. Also, there's some interviews by Angelo, the president and chairman, to say that he's looking to revisit their parking lots on Myrtle Street to develop at a later date. So the whole idea that they don't have money now, but they will visit later, is nonsense.
Thank you. Do you want your sign, sir?
I could leave it for the city council if you guys
Sure.
want.
Sure, you can hand it right to Commissioner Frank. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kara Milday, and I live at 14 Brookview Terrace. I am a homeowner and a local business owner, and this is the first time I've addressed the City Council, so thank you for the opportunity. When you look at all of the challenges hospitals are facing to financially survive in today's unpredictable healthcare world, sometimes our good fortune to have Saratoga Hospital is taken for granted. Our community has the incredible benefit of a forward-thinking, fiscally responsible hospital, positioning itself to take care of our community now and in the future. I have followed the news. Saratoga Hospital is investing in new technology to meet the growing and changing needs of our community. It is attracting top-level talent in every area of care and support. The hospital last year was recognized by U.S. News World and Report as one of the best hospitals in New York State. The latest Federal Hospital Compare ratings gave Saratoga Hospital 4 stars, the highest rating in the Greater Capital Region. Newsweek recently published its national ratings, with Saratoga Hospital ranked 156th in the country. I have also followed the public discussion about the recommended zoning change. What is disappointing to me is a small group of people distorting the facts to convince others to oppose the hospital's efforts. Some are making the claim that there will be no patient care provided in the proposed medical office center. So I took the time to ask if this is true. It is absurdly false. I was given the following example, for just one. When the medical group's oncology practices relocated to the new offices, that will include infusion services for cancer patients. Saratoga Hospital has earned our trust, and the hospital absolutely deserves your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Darlene McGraw. I live on Jefferson Street. One thing is not from me, but from another person I spoke with. They said the fire hydrants need to be more clearly marked. Make sure that they're tall stands so that you can see in the wintertime, so that you can see them and that they're clearly painted. You might see me wearing my helmet now. I rode my bike here for a purpose, not just because I want to ride around the corner. Complete streets. You guys can ask Vincent, Tony, and any other lawyer. It's not an option. It's a requirement. Jefferson Street, you got people speeding up and down. Our police are always there, but it's still not enough. We need to do more to stop the people speeding so that we can make sure kids in our neighborhood don't get hit by a car. On Morgan Street, over there, first of all, the hospital, I've been an inpatient for surgery there, which was good. But the ER, I'd rather die of a heart attack than have to go to their ER. Their ER is horrible compared to a lot of other hospitals in the Capital District. And I feel that we don't need to support a hospital that is doing such poorly care as they are. I've gone to that hospital so many darn times. I don't even want to tell you how many times this year so far. So I have plenty of personal experiences. I'm not for one group or another. I'm just telling you the honest truth. And paving. As far as paving goes, Jefferson Street and Vanderbilt Ave, between Lincoln and Crescent, or at least Lincoln and Worth, whether you guys want to admit it or not, it needs to be paved. You guys work here in this building now temporary. You guys should know this by now.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry. My name is Diane Bartos. I'm actually a resident of Clifton Park, but more importantly, I've actually worked at Saratoga Hospital for 15 years now, and I've seen and lived the expansion that we've had at Saratoga. So this is the first time that I've actually had to address a city council, so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. A little bit about me. I am an RN with a doctorate in nursing practice. And for this conversation, and probably more importantly, I am the director of the ICU. And with my doctorate work that I've done, I have focused that on the research and the evidence for the best, for evidence-based plan and design for the ICU. The results, we have a brand new ICU that's 19 beds, and it has been recognized across the country and had multiple site visits from all over the country to see what we have actually done. And hospitals are complicated, and I know it's confusing to be able to understand all of the intricacies of how the hospital actually works. Our entire medical staff, our technical staff, our clinical staff, and all of our support staff have really dedicated their lives to helping the people of Saratoga County. In the ICU, you see this exemplified every day, and we do it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, doing our best to make our patients feel comfortable as possible as they fight for their lives. This is really not drama, and it's not exaggerated, but it's real life work that happens at Saratoga Hospital. I know the benefits of consults and the collaboration that we need between the surgeons, the cardiologists, the neurologists, the pulmonologists, and oncologists, and having them all work together in a team. I see these results every day in the work that I do. I know what it means to have our physicians close to the hospital when minutes really, really do matter. That is the value of having the medical center office as close as possible for us, and the ability for people to be able to draw right into the hospital. Some say that we should build across the street from our ED, and we've heard that tonight. Building on that site is not a smart decision. It would require building a parking garage, which would be at a lot of costs.
That's time. If you want to hand that in,
sure,
you could put it on the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we are closing the public comment period. Council, does anybody have any responses? Okay, then we'll move right on to our presentation. We have one presentation tonight. It's Bikers Against Child Abuse, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. So there's several members of Bikers Against Child Abuse here with us tonight. Bikers Against Child Abuse is an organization that assists abused children in the capital region by pairing them with mentors. These mentors take the children on trips, teach them, give them a ride on a motorcycle from time to time. As you'll notice from our guests, each has a biker name, and although I would have loved to have said that it's Bubbles Rebus who's going to be delivering, just because I like the name, it's not. Actually, it's Pharaoh is going to be delivering a presentation tonight.
Hi, thank you for allowing
Can you set up to the mic, please? Thank you. That's all right.
You can lift it up.
There you go.
Hi, thanks for letting us present here tonight. Our mission statement is Bikers Against Child Abuse exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children not to feel afraid in the world in which they live. We stand ready to lend support to our wounded friends by involving them with established United organization. We work in conjunction with local and state officials who are already in place to protect children. We desire to send a clear message to all involved with the abused child that this child is part of our organization and that we are prepared to lend a physical and emotional support to them by affiliation and our physical presence. We stand at the ready to shield these children from further abuse. We do not condone the use of violence or physical force in any manner. However, if the circumstances arise such that we are the only obstacle for preventing a child from further abuse, we stand ready to be that obstacle. The thing about us is we are 501c3. We all are here as volunteers. There's nobody paid in our organization. We have to be fingerprinted, FBI cleared in order to be in this organization to deal with children. And we are fingerprinted after the first 3 meetings, and we are fingerprinted every 3 years after that so that we are always going to be safe and nobody will slip through the cracks of any kind of abuse or anything that would do harm with children. Our organization started in 1995 and it has grown since then. We are an international organization, 48 states in the United States and 10 countries around the world. It has been a proven fact that this organization works to empower children not to be afraid. We have gone to court with kids. We've also got them into therapy if they needed to go to therapy. And anything else that will empower a child. We deal directly with a child. We do not get into the family dynamics, whatever issues they have. A child that we take in has to be a reported case either to the police or to CPS or any social services. We just do not take one unless a case is filed. And the child has to be living in fear. If the child is not living in fear, there's no way that we can help them. The thing about us also is that once we've been fingerprinted clear, there's a year of training. We would not just take like you off the street and say, hey, here's a patch, come help kids. Doesn't work that way. You need to go through the training. We have all kinds of training on how to deal with children, and what? Go ahead. And this is basically what we're about here, and to be there for the kids at all time, no matter 24 hours a day. We also, the thing that we can do that the police and social services can't do, if there's a threat made against a child, we'll be outside that house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until the threat is removed. And it has been proven to work. And we go to court with kids. This is basically what we do and what we're about.
The goal of BACA is eventually to break the chains of child abuse. So these children don't grow up and bring what happened to them into their relationships.
First found out about BACA through my counselor, and she said that we should look into this, that BACA was a group of bikers who help and they support kids who've been abused. Before the abuse, I do remember like a happy, just normal life.
Rhythm was very carefree. She was loving and fun.
When I told my mom, she talked to me for about an hour.
She came in and she said, I'm being abused and I want you to know I don't want it to happen anymore. I want it to stop.
My extended family didn't think my story was true. They thought a lot of it was made up. I had night terrors. I was seeing like 2-3 counselors. That was partially why my counselor informed us about BACA.
Level 1 is the first interaction that the child's going to have with the entire chapter. It's where we bring that child in and make them part of our biker family.
Leading up to the night of my level 1, I was kind of like not sure what to expect. All I knew is that there was going to be a lot of bikers at my house in the morning.
So when a child is brought into BACA, and we decided it's a case that fits our mission, we as the chapter as a whole will ride off to wherever the child feels safe at to meet. That means the whole chapter goes, everybody's had a background check for Brian.
There's a little bit of a ceremony that goes on with it. The child's reminded about the initial contact where everything is explained to them, what BACA is, what we do, what we don't do.
We present them with a vest, and it has a patch on the back of it and their road name, and it just makes them feel part of it.
They get assigned to the members as primaries. Those members are on call for that child 24/7 around the clock.
Peppermint, would you like to meet your primaries now? We have Rembrandt and Lucy. Rembrandt and Lucy have always been here for me. Now BACA will always be here for you.
Hi, Peppermint. I'm Lucy. It's nice to meet you.
I'm Rembrandt. Nice to meet you.
Seeing this like group of adults, bikers, like being so kind, not even bringing up what happened to me, just saying like, hey, we're here for you, like we're your new family. It meant the world to me.
The level 1 is probably something that is the most empowering part of what we do, because we see a huge change in these children after about 40-45 minutes. Those kids are interacting with their members. In some areas, they go for rides with the membership. They take them on a short ride around the neighborhood.
They looked at her like she was just another amazing young kid.
It's just, we're just there just to empower them, show them that there's people out there that really care about them, and that they're becoming part of our family. And then when they become part of our family, that we have their backs.
When there's a court case, if the judge allows us, we will escort that child to the courthouse. A lot of times when kids go to court, the family members of the perpetrator will show up and they try to intimidate that child.
Carry me home when the light in my eyes does fade. Carry me home when the shadow comes to take me away. Knowing I'll be in a better place. Release my soul, carry me home. Carry me home, there's a sound down in the ground. Carry me home, don't you weep for I feel bound. Release my soul, carry me home.
Are you scared? No. You're not? My friends are love.
That's just a short video on what we do when we show up and when you see how.
Can you step to the microphone and address the council?
When you see how these kids, sorry.
That's okay.
How these kids respond
And when we hand them this Baca bear, and we've all signed it with our road names, and we hug it and we tell these kids, you know what, if you're ever afraid and you feel that this bear isn't working any longer, you call us. We'll be there. We'll fill it with more courage. We give them, obviously, as you saw, the black leather vest. They get to pick their road name.
Okay.
Some of us don't.
I wondered how you got that.
You know what, in the beginning, we hated that name, but.
It works, huh?
It took one little 7-year-old girl to make him appreciate his name.
This 7-year-old girl, we rode to Endicott, New York, 30 degrees when we left here. We were on our bikes. 7-year-old girl had been abused. I knelt down in front of her, introduced myself, and this little girl is just laughing. And I said, what's so funny? She says, your road name Bubbles, it's making me laugh. Really? You know what? It can't be changed now. Because if that's what it took for that little girl to have some sort of normalcy in her life for that day, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Well, it's great work.
Thank you
Really
guys
great work.
for letting us come in and talk to you about what we do and who we are. And I know Glenn has seen me.
Thank you.
Glenn's seen me out
Yeah.
and about.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate your work. It's very important work.
We
And
just
please
basically
continue.
want you guys to know that we're around, and you'll see us in town and around this areas. We've gone to court actually in Boston Spa a couple times. We didn't wear cuts in there because we weren't allowed, but we wore white t-shirts with slices of pizza on them because that's what the child wanted us to do. And one of the biggest things that we did with this within the last couple months is we went to a trial in Vermont where Baca from Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York were all there every day for 7 days, 24 hours a day for support for that child because there was a threat made against her life if she testified against her perp. She did testify against the perp. He got 25 years to life.
On both counts.
On both counts. And that little girl at the end said, I'm glad I finally did it. And she was ecstatic and happy, and that's what it's about. And we were there every day. There's 30 of us lined up and down the halls of the court for her to walk through. And that's what we're here for, to empower the children not to be afraid of anymore and be able to speak up. And that's what we do. And thank you for your time. If you guys ever have any questions, I know, just feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, moving on. If you want to exit, we'll let you exit at this time. Okay, next on our agenda is our consent agenda. Are there any comments or edits as published? Then I move that the city council approve the consent agenda as published. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. On to the mayor's department. My first item is discussion and vote, appointment downtown special assessment district. Tonight, I am asking the council to approve the reappointment of Dean Collagen to the Downtown Special Assessment Board. Pursuant to City Charter Title II, Section 2.5, this requires the council vote. Dean works at the Adirondack Trust Company as Vice President in charge of security and facility operations. He is involved in the Leadership Saratoga Alumni Board and the Advisory Committee, Saratoga Hospital Foundation Board, and Golf Committee, Town of Wilton Zoning Board of Appeals, and was recently elected to the Saratoga Springs City School District Board of Education. Dean has served on the Downtown Special Assessment District for one term. The new term will run for 4 years, 8/1/19 through 7/31/23. I move that the City Council approve Dean Collagen for the Downtown Special Assessment Board. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes. My second item is an announcement, deadline for comments on the Uniform Development Ordinance Technical Report, June 5th, 2019. In addition to reminding the council and public about submitting comments regarding the UDO technical report, I would like to review the activities associated with the UDO project. As required by law, the city is updating our zoning ordinance and map to be consistent with the adopted 2015 comprehensive plan and align with the future land use map. On March 12, 2019, our land use consultant Camaros presented zoning map amendments which identified 18 proposed changes for compliance with this future land use map. On April 12, 2019, the City Council voted to request advisory opinions for proposed maps from the county and city planning boards. The County Planning Board reviewed and approved the proposed map changes in their decision published to the Council on April 30th, 2019, which is on file with the city clerk. The City Planning Board is in the process of reviewing the proposed map and will provide their advisory opinion July 2nd, 2019. The UDO technical report prepared by Camaros is an analysis of our current zoning ordinance and other city policy documents such as the comprehensive plan, subdivision regulations, and the complete streets policy. This report was presented to Council on May 21st and to the public with 2 presentations on May 22nd. The full technical report, the presentation given by the Camaros, and the public comment are available on the UDO page on the city website. The process continues as follows. Comments about the technical report can be submitted through June 5th and will be reviewed by city staff and Camaros. Camaros will organize and draft the zoning ordinance and possible additional map changes over the coming months. Workshops for the council and the public will be scheduled and offer opportunities for public comment on the draft ordinance. Camaros will prepare the final zoning ordinance and map. After the final ordinance and map are provided, there will be a county and city planning board advisory opinions, secret, and public hearings. Only after these steps are completed will there be a council vote on this final zoning ordinance and map. My third item is an announcement. June 18th, 2019, City Council meeting. Revised start time will be 6 p.m. The regularly scheduled City Council meeting City Council meeting on June 18th, 2019 will begin at 6 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. due to scheduling conflicts. This has been legally noticed as well as publicly noticed this morning, tomorrow evening, and on the city website. And this concludes my agenda. On to accounts.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is an announcement. The community collects on Tuesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. James Perillo, who's the director of the Saratoga Springs History Museum, will be heading up a panel discussion regarding items and information collected by various organizations. The panel will include representatives from the Saratoga Springs History Museum, the Preservation Foundation, the Saratoga Room of the Public Library, the Saratoga County Historian, the City of Saratoga Springs Historian, and Nancy Wagner, who works in the accounts office and is our records retention coordinator. Each panelist will explain what their organization does as well as what information and items they do or don't collect. This event will be held at the Canfield Casino and is open to the public, and again, that's on June 18th at 7 p.m. The second item is award of bid for chemicals, sodium hypochlorite and orthophosphate to Surplus Chemical Company, Inc. Upon the recommendation of the Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for chemicals of sodium hypochlorite and orthophosphate to Surplus Chemical Company, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $57,590. It's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. The third item is award of bid polyaluminum chloride to Holland Company. Upon the recommendation of the Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for chemicals of polyaluminum chloride to Holland Company in the amount not to exceed $60,637.50. And it's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Fourth item is award of bid chemicals, copper sulfate to Fazy and Bestoff LLC. Upon the recommendation of the Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for chemicals, copper sulfate to Fazy and Bestoff LLC in the amount not to exceed $5,370. And that's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Okay, number 5, I might have to pun on this, but I'll do my best. The award of bid chemicals, hydrofluorosilicic acid and sodium silicofluoride to Amrex Chemical Company. Upon the recommendation of Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for chemicals for hydrofluorosilicic acid and sodium silico fluoride to Amrex Chemical Company, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $15,900. That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Number 6, just a brief discussion on the update on Grievance Day, which was last Tuesday, May 28, 2019. We had another successful year. We only had 43 taxpayers that grieved their assessment, and that's with over 12,000 parcels in the city. I would like to thank Camille Daniels, Dave Morenzi, Sheila Spearing, Joe Bubble Rivas, who was here earlier, and Jim Martinez for volunteering the time on the Board of Assessment Review. For the record, I put in the list over the last 15 or 16 years. The 2 years before I came in here, 2004, there was 836 grievance parcels. In 2005, there was 750, and we've been able to whittle that down over the years. Last year was the lowest at 41. This year was 43. Mayor, we sent an email out late this afternoon, and we would like to potentially add an extra agenda item relating to the Constellation for additional contract with Constellation for additional accounts. So if I could, I would put a motion first to add that to the agenda.
That's fine. Is there a
Okay.
second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. It's discussion about authorization for Mayor to sign contract with Constellation for additional electric accounts. The contract distributed earlier today is for additional electric accounts that were accidentally omitted from the contract previously approved and signed by the mayor on May 21st at the last city council meeting. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the updated contract with Constellation for additional electric accounts as previously distributed. That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
On to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is a discussion. We're going to have a discussion regarding the city's collection of delinquent taxes and our foreclosure process. So over the past several days, I've seen a handful of some misinformed and in some cases, I think rather inappropriate discussions on social media, on websites, on blogs regarding how the city manages overdue tax payments. While some of these posts are obvious bad faith efforts to smear the city and its employees, I wanted to take this opportunity to inform the public on the actual facts and the process that the city takes when collecting taxes. So before I get into the specifics, there are 2 important points I want to stress. Additionally, I handed out to the entire city council, although I know you're all very familiar with the city charter, Section 4.1, tax collector for the city charter, which outlines in detail the process the city takes for collecting taxes, signing liens on properties, and when and if to foreclose on a property. So first, the city, specifically the finance department, views its responsibilities related to property tax payment as a critical function. Homeownership is the largest financial decision many people make in their life, and we give any discussion around penalties, liens, and foreclosures a high degree of care that it rightfully deserves. And I do take serious the issue with the negative and divisive tone used in some of these social media attacks on the city, our employees, and our residents. This does affect our residents. Second, the city currently has a property tax collection rate of well over 90%. And actually, the last time I looked at it, the last several years, it's been closer to 95%. And I've reported on that to the city council when I go through quarterly and annual reports. The high collection rate reflects how important paying on time is for the overwhelming majority of city taxpayers, and actually many city taxpayers pay in the first quarter because they are afforded a discount of 2.5%, and that's a pretty good return on your money. So we have a lot of taxpayers, that's why we have such good cash flow in the city, pay in the first quarter of every year. This also limits the negative ramifications of late payments. The city has a process in place to ensure we receive what we are owed, including any related penalties, but the budgetary or cash management implications are relatively limited on an annual basis for those who maybe are late or do not pay their property taxes. And there are a number of reasons for that. Some people actually suffer from financial hardships. The tax payment timeline and process is specifically outlined, again, in the city charter within section 4.1, tax collector. This section dictates the setting of tax rates, the collection of taxes, the imposition of penalties, the allowable discount offered that I just referred to, the lien process, and the right to commence foreclosure proceedings. The Finance Office ensures that these responsibilities outlined in section 4.1 of the charter are followed, and are followed to the letter of the law. Additional steps not required by the charter taken by the Finance Office include regular and routine mailing of delinquent notices to those with unpaid taxes, and the acceptance of payment not only at our offices, but you can pay at local banks. You can pay online through the payment of taxes, which I had put in place a few years ago. You can pay by an e-check. So credit, debit card, e-check. And they all play a role in our high collection rate. When property tax remains unpaid, Charter Section 4.1.5 states that the prior year's taxes, penalties, charges, and assessments will become a lien on October 1st. This section also states that as part of this process, publication of the list of properties on which liens are to be levied shall be made in the official newspaper of the city prior to the date of the lien and on the date of the lien. So we do this yearly on October 1st. We publish the name of the person, the property, the company of everyone who has a lien on their property in the newspaper. Very much public record, very transparent. Post-lien, section 4.1.9 of the charter states that the Commissioner of Finance has the right to begin in rem, it's called in rem foreclosure proceedings, at the expiration of 2 days from the day of the lien. The in rem process is also outlined in Real Property Tax Law, New York State Real Property Tax Law, Article 9, Title 3. So that alone right there is a 3-year process. The property has to have 1 year with the lien in the process, and then you still have to wait 2 more years after that before you could actually even begin an in rem foreclosure process. So the city last went through an in rem proceeding in 2012 during my first year in office. Foreclosure represents, to me, the last resort for the city, and it's not to be entered into lightly. The city's preference is always to receive what we are owed rather than foreclosing on a property. Again, there are many reasons for that. The city is not in the business of owning and selling properties. We do not want to own and sell. The last process was several years. It was time consuming. There were a number of properties that had built up. We went into the foreclosure process. I think the whole thing probably cost us $600,000. And then we had to go through an auction process. We are a small city, basically a small community, and we have a high receivables rate. That being said, in April of this year, we actually did hold a cross-departmental kickoff meeting to evaluate if and when the city should pursue an in rem proceedings. We did that with the mayor's office, the Department of Public Safety, and the city attorney. We all met together. There are a number of reasons why we're starting to trigger the in rem process, and a lot of that has to do with the work that's been taking place with public safety on zombie properties. So as part of the effort that my department's been undertaking, we have calculated the balance of outstanding liens that are in-remmable. And it's roughly about $888,000 right now, 44% of which is associated with outstanding city and county taxes and penalties. Should the city pursue an in-rem proceeding, however, after October 2019, that's going to be my next trigger date to really look at that, the total actionable amount could increase to $1.1 million. October 2019 is, again, the legal trigger date, as it represents 2 years since the 2016 lien list was published in October of 2017. While the internal NREM discussions are ongoing based on these numbers, because we will see, people have the right to come in and pay their property taxes up to any point in time, any day of the week, any time of the month. My recommendation would be that we should look into pursuing NREM proceedings later this year, though I'm not sure yet. I look forward to also hearing the opinion from the other departments that I will be working with on this project. Regarding the two-year window post-lien, the law does require that the city allow taxpayers that a reasonable amount of time to pay overdue taxes before taking possession of their property. And I believe that this is more than appropriate, as we don't want, again, the government to prematurely take property from people experiencing short-term financial difficulties. Every reasonable opportunity must be given to allow property owners to meet their legal obligation before taking drastic action against them. Of course, balancing the interests of the city and its taxpayers in the aggregate with the interest of individuals subject to foreclosure proceedings in a cost-effective and compassionate manner is a challenge. The city has and will continue to provide options to property owners as allowable, but will ultimately take the necessary steps to ensure the finance department and in turn taxpayers across the city receive what they are owed. I hope that this starts to clear up many misconceptions regarding tax payments and penalties, and that those purposefully spreading misinformation refrain from denigrating the city, its employees, employees of the finance department too, and property owners who may be struggling to pay their bills in a timely manner. Having said that, some of these people may not be struggling. There are always people who try to game the system, but it doesn't work. The city always gets its money in the end. There is a lien on every single one of those properties. If you try to sell the property, you can't. You can't sell the property without first making the city whole. And eventually, the city does foreclose. We have determined, and since I've been here and I've looked at the past, we do an NREM about once every 10 years. That's usually the trigger. We usually find we have enough properties. We usually find that we need to go out, do an RFP, get a lawyer who is skilled in this. It is a very time-consuming for us and expensive project. We are not the county. We can't do this once or twice a year. We just don't have that number on our tax rolls. So we wait until we have enough to go forward to trigger the NREM process. But eventually, the city always gets its money. So I'll leave that there for the rest of the council in case you'd like to add. I think this is, pretty much a serious accusations against the city. We do our job in the finance department and we collect our taxes and we place appropriate liens and we foreclose when the time comes. I am not about to start foreclosing on a property by property basis. We wait and we do it as a whole, as an aggregate, because that's how it makes sense to do it in this city. Thank you.
Yeah, because I've been around here for so long. Weeds are starting to grow off of me, but I think this has only happened twice since I've been here. I think Commissioner McCabe, when I was first in office around 2006 or so, he might have even started it in 5. So there was one there, and then when Commissioner Madigan, I think it was first or second year in office, did one of these. So that, every 8 to 10 years does make sense, because it's sort of, I guess the best analogy I can give is it's similar to reassessing the city. There may be certain inequities maybe on certain properties or whatever, but the cost to do this process is very expensive. And I'm not even sure, I got an email from someone today with all these various amounts, and I don't know that it's even if the city collected all that, if it has to reimburse some to the school district, some to the county, but even if they kept that, there is a cost to that. So you have to, and it's not, as you said, the county does it every year. but they have a tremendous amount of numbers, so it's a scale which makes sense. So from that, just from that standpoint alone, I know you've looked at it, and even I think you looked at it in 2000. When you first came in, and it took a year just to get through the process. It's a nightmare, the process.
It's a very long process.
And I feel for the people that are in bad situations, but I also feel sorry for the people who have paid their taxes, and they don't get that credit. But I mean, I can remember we had a gentleman here who was at the meeting in tears, an Italian guy, I can't remember his name, over the west side. But at the end of the day, they tend to come up with the money when there's a gun to their head type of situation, where you're going to lose your place. But yeah, I think it's an economy of scale, and it's almost something once you hit a certain number, and I don't know what that number is. I don't know if it's a tax number or a parcel number or whatever that is. Then that's when you have to go forward to do that, and that's beyond my expertise. But it's only been about 6-7 years since the last one, so I think you're starting to get into that range now where you have to review that.
We're getting into that range. The zombie property issue has really started to trigger things. We did get an interesting email today that included a list of properties from 2017. Those are not available for NREM, so you could look through that list and you could exclude almost half of them. They may become available in 2019, but they also may come in and pay their taxes before then. And it is a very arduous, resource-consuming, expensive process. Frankly, the lawyer who did it for us back in 2012 told us he's not interested in doing it again. It was too time-consuming. So actually finding a lawyer, which is why I think this time if we decide to do it, we're going to go out to RFP and hope that we can find somebody with the experience to do it. Because we do not have the in-house experience for it, nor would we want to hire somebody to do it for us full-time, because we're really only triggered about once a decade.
Yeah, I just remember both times, again, I can only speak from my experience here, and maybe Skip can when he was a supervisor also, and even that, when the properties came out, a lot of people in public were like, well, you should keep this property, you should keep that property, you shouldn't give this property away. It might be a future fire station. Why don't you use this property for affordable housing? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So I kind of remember that process too, and there was like lots of fights over that. And I think we did keep a property or two.
Kept two, remember? We put them to Habitat for Humanity.
Right.
We built 2 affordable homes with 2 of the parcels that came.
Right, and then there was a property that which is still, I think, vacant, a property we sold on Lake Ave Extension that was, which maybe we shouldn't have sold now looking back, but the fire department was coming in saying get rid of it, then we sold it, and they're like, why did you sell it? And
that was one of the Tulin properties.
Yeah,
right?
so, and like I said, I think some of the people that were on that list that was sent have already lost their property maybe once before or something, so. Anyways, I think it's just a process. I don't think it's any different. I don't think it has to do with the form of government or anybody. I think it's just, when you look at smaller cities, that they just go through this process, and you have to wait to see how many properties. And Saratoga's been a pretty hot market, so it's not, I'm not going to list other cities in New York State where they have a considerably fewer lots than maybe we do, but have a much higher default rate. We really don't have that, so until you hit that, it may not make much sense to do so.
Any other comments from the council?
Well, I want to point out that, because Commissioner Frank just reminded me that, after we foreclosed, we had a lot of internal debates about what to do with many of the parcels. And we met with the planning department to figure out what we were going to do. We had a lot of different options, but the one that I really seized upon, that I really liked, we were able to take 2 parcels that we gained in the MREM foreclosure process, one on Division Street and one on Cherry Street, and we put up 3 affordable housing homes working with Habitat for Humanity and Rebuilding Saratoga. And today I'm pleased to say that we have a single family living in the one on Division Street, and we also have a duplex on Cherry Street with 2 families. So, the finance department is doing its job according to the charter and according to the process that is laid out very clearly. And eventually everybody has to pay their taxes, or your property will be foreclosed upon. But it's just a matter of when we trigger that process.
Great, thank you.
Item number 2 is an announcement about Career Jam at the Saratoga Springs City Center on October 22nd. Well, actually, I was going to bring the city attorney up to talk about that. Yeah, I do. I want you to come back. Sorry. I really want to have the city attorney reinforce the process that the finance department has gone through, because there did seem to be some claims of, some.
So we are going back to your item
We're going back
number.
to item number 1.
Okay, thank you.
Very well. Commissioner, everything you said was completely accurate and factually correct. Sadly, the same can't be true for the individuals that you were responding to. It should be emphasized that foreclosure is the legal taking of title to someone else's property. It's something that the city should be reluctant to do and use only as a last resort, and that is how we have handled them in the past. With that being said, there is a process as outlined in the charter, as you went through, with regard to both the collection of taxes and the handling of delinquent taxes. After taxes are delinquent for a period of a year, a lien is placed on that particular parcel. During that period for which it's delinquent, it should also be noted that that individual property owner will pay an assessment or a penalty fee of 15%. After the year where a lien is ultimately placed on that property and during the period thereafter, penalties continue to assess at a rate of 12% a year. So contrary to some unfounded suggestions, no one gets a pass. At the end of the day, the money is ultimately owed with penalties and accrued fees on top of that. But when we do ultimately pull the trigger on a foreclosure, it's only as a last resort and after thoughtful and careful deliberation. I don't know if there are any specific questions, but...
No, I was just going to bring one other point up. Now, there are other foreclosures. There's bank foreclosures within the city.
Yep.
But in the bank foreclosures, the bank has to pay the taxes here. So I don't want people to get, because I used to get involved in buying properties in foreclosures years ago, when now the foreclosures cost more than buying it for market value. But in the old days, you could buy some properties that were through bank foreclosures. And so when you went through that type of bidding process, which used to be not affiliated with the city hall, but they used to do it at city hall steps or just inside, the bank a lot of times would take a haircut on the loan because, again, they would push to the limit with the foreclosures. But the bank also made the city and everybody whole. So, if you read the legal sections, because I have to read it because Lisa, is always putting in legal things because of my position here, you'll see foreclosures quite often there.
Yeah.
But those are bank foreclosures. Yep. And so some of those things that are bank foreclosures, we may get reimbursed and they tend to sell just like that.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
a separate process.
And the city, if there's a municipal lien on it, still gets their money.
Right, the bank has to pay the taxes.
Has to pay the municipal lien, has to pay the
Yes,
taxes.
the bank has to pay the taxes. Yep.
So we always get our money.
Thank you.
That's the message. Thank you, Vince, that was much appreciated. Thanks for allowing me to go back to my agenda item number 1. On to my agenda item number 2. An announcement about Career Jam at the Saratoga Springs City Center on October 22nd, 2019 from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. I'm just going to say a few words and then I have Ryan here from Dan Amberg, thank you. Oh, sorry, such a long day. Is going to say a few words about Career Jam and how we're hosting it here in Saratoga Springs this year. So the Career Jam is a hands-on career exploration event targeting 8th and 9th grade students from local public schools from throughout the region, not just our school district. Employers provide interactive activities as well as industry and company-specific information designed to engage and inform students on promising career possibilities available in this region. The event represents a collaborative effort between the Saratoga Washington Warren Workforce Development Board, the Washington Saratoga Warren Hamilton Essex BOCES, and the Saratoga County Economic Development Corporation. I am making a recommendation to the council, given the local economic and workforce development implications of this event, as well as the city's ongoing relationship with SEDC. And I've talked with the mayor's office about this on the city supporting Career Jam as a sponsor, because this support is similar to how the city has provided limited funding for other economic development initiatives in the city, including the Proctor's grant submission related to the renovation of UPH and the assignment funding set aside for affordable housing. The related $1,000 transfer is part of the 7th item on my agenda this evening. We are in very good financial shape, and when we're in this kind of good financial shape, I think I like to be able to do things like this at council approval when it comes to economic and workforce and community development. So if you have a few words you'd like to say about Career Jam, I believe this is your 3rd annual, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Yes,
right?
if I may just hand out a brief one
Sure.
pager. I think I made about a dozen copies. Good evening. I'm Ryan Van Amber with Saratoga Economic Development Corporation. This is our 3rd Career Jam. The first 2 years we've held in different locations, and we're finally able to say we're coming back to Saratoga Springs and having it at the City Center. The first year we did it, we had about 800 students. The second year, last year, we had about 1,800, and they were coming from literally all over the region. The purpose of Career Jam is to expose 8th and 9th grade students, a younger demographic, to all the career opportunities that are here in the region. So if you can imagine buses lining up, getting off the bus, and we have a DJ there, so they immediately think this is something different. For them, we throw candy at them regularly throughout the day, but it's set up like a trade show. The one requirement for the employers to attend is that they have to have a hands-on activity based on that industry sector. And we encourage every industry sector to attend. So we have the hospital, we have trades and unions, we have global foundries and high tech, we have gaming, and every industry you can think of. We had banks there with students comparing counterfeit money. So there's nothing really off limits. We really want to highlight small, large, medium-sized enterprises throughout the region. And whether students go on to college outside of the region, they know they have opportunities, many opportunities to come back to. Or if they go right into the workforce, or certainly go on to community college or certificate level. Most of these employers that attend will provide some assistance to and for education, for continuing education as well. So as students come in, like I said, it's set up like a trade show. We have heavy equipment, everything you could imagine, from Munter Enterprises with their big excavator, and Logistics One with a big 18-wheeler, and students are in and out everywhere, handling everything they can. And this year we're fortunate enough at the City Center that everything is actually going to be inside. For the last 2 years we've had equipment inside and outside. This year we're fortunate because of the size and location. All the equipment, including heavy equipment, will be inside.
Wow.
So that is a big plus for us. So I can certainly answer any questions specifically that you may have, but this is a key workforce initiative for us. This is something we hear from our business partners every day, all day. That workforce is critical. It's one of the roadblocks to growth for them. And there's certainly job fairs alike around that are open to 10th, 11th, 12th grade, etc. But we really wanted to reach a younger demographic before they pick a track in high school, before they have to decide what they want to be at age 13 or 14 for the rest of their lives. We want to expose them. And the best thing I can tell you, I would encourage you on that form, there's a link. It's career-jam.com. There's a quick 2-minute video that shows the day of event and what it's like. I would also invite all of you to come out to the event on October 22nd. It is quite the spectacle. Students have about an hour and a half to go around and meet all the businesses. And beyond that, one of the things we do try to do is educate the educators and allow the interaction and engagement with the chaperones, teachers, faculty, administrators that attend to connect with the businesses, so there's ongoing engagement, ongoing connection throughout the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's terrific.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So is this, because it's in is it like Saratoga County, is that the main schools you're hitting? Or, or what's the process of advertising it to the schools?
So we focus on Warren, Washington, Saratoga is primary. Last year, with 1,800 students, we did have students coming down from Indian Lake and as far away as Ichabod Crane.
Okay. And is this, when it's Career Jam, is it on like everything from, is it just like a certain sectors, or is it just pretty much A to Z?
Every sector you could imagine. Yes.
That's great.
I think I saw a video on this once. I think Carrie Warner was there.
Yes, that was the first year Carrie Warner
first year
was on our video.
It was very exciting. There were kids everywhere, very excited about different professions, the trades. And I think that's why, I don't know, this one has stuck with me when you came to talk to me about it. So
yeah, we're excited about having it here. It'll be, logistically speaking, the City Center just works. It's centrally located, plus the team there is just phenomenal. to deal with. They've done this type of thing many, many times.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Well, 1,800 students, I can only imagine how the city is going to be on October 22nd with all those students and their families here to enjoy this event. Does anybody else in the council have any other comments?
I just wanted to ask a question. I'm assuming, this is BOCES, I'm assuming you bring the trades in.
Yes,
You know,
that's a
the
key
plumbers
component.
and you bring contractors in and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, we're in the process of doing an RFP and we've been talking for for City Hall. And we've been talking to some of the builders, and one of the biggest complaints is there's not enough people in the workforce out there to do the work.
Right.
They're having a hard time getting people in there and, good trained personnel. So I
The
think
trades and unions are one of our featured participants. If you can picture Saratoga Builders Association along with Curtis Lumber had, traditional booths are 8 by 10. They had 5 of them. And we allow businesses as much space as they want. And they had we had every trade represented there, but they had a greenhouse that was clean tech so students could walk through. So we do a lot with trades, and we purposely, with BOCES, we have the program curriculum and teachers at BOCES next to the businesses. So students coming in can see the track from education to career immediately.
That's good. It's obviously it's a good thing. Like I said, the trades are really suffering today with all the with all the high tech stuff and stuff like that. And I mean, I know a lot of people go to college. They get they get a degree and they get in a lot of debt.
Right.
And it takes them a long time to get out of debt. And whereas if you get into the trades, the plumbing, electrical, and just carpentry trades, maybe in 5 years you got your own business and you're sitting somewhere on an island having a vacation and having somebody else work for you and debt free. So and I think it's people are missing that thing. And so it's a real good thing that you're doing. I know the city supports the union's apprenticeship program.
Yes.
And and that's something that I think is a good thing too. Again, it's for the trades, to get people interested in the trades and to kind of get them acclimated to that type of work.
Absolutely.
It's not easy work, but in the end, I think it's real rewarding. So it's a good thing you're doing.
Thank you.
Good.
Anything else?
I'm going to jump my agenda item number 7 up because that's where the transfer is, so that you can just see that it's actually gone through. And then, because I think that was really just an announcement that I just did to explain it, so I'll do the transfer now while you're here. So my item number 7 is a discussion and vote budget transfer contingency. Lines 1 through 3 are to transfer from contingency $1,000 for the Career Jam sponsorship as previously discussed, and $1,500 to cover record storage at Plaza 15 for 3 months. Finance is currently working with the Accounts Department on the digitization of Plaza 15 files and hopes to materially reduce our usage of outside storage. The balance in contingency prior to this transfer being approved is $118,251.67, and following approval, the balance will be $115,751.67. I request your approval of the budget transfer contingency as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, and thank you for being here to explain Career Jam. That was very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 3 is an announcement, Population Health Innovation Summit at the Albany Capitol Center on June 12, 2019 from 9 to 5 p.m. This is the 3rd Population Health Innovation Summit, and it is co-sponsored by Nice Tech, Innovate 518, the City of Saratoga Springs, and the City of Schenectady. This all-day event will unite local government leaders, health industry experts, and frontline implementers to showcase promising innovations that leverage smart city technology to improve the lives of all New Yorkers. The city is involved with this event through our partnership with Nice Tech, an independent, not-for-profit technology consulting company that does act as our trusted advisor they act as a trusted advisor, but they act as our trusted advisor to government agencies, institutions, and businesses across the state. This summit is free, and it is open to the public and includes a networking lunch and cocktail reception immediately following the event. Item number 4 is a discussion and vote, resolution for non-union full-time personnel. Attached with the agenda is a red-lined and clean version of the resolution. Material updates include 2019-2020 salary information for the Human Resources Administrator, as well as the addition of the Communications Manager and Human Resources Specialist. I request your approval of the resolution for non-union full-time personnel as distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you. Item number 5 is a discussion and vote, budget amendment, use of assigned fund balance, knowledge training. Lines 1 through 3 are to use knowledge training assignment for training of the new HR specialists in health benefits. The knowledge training assignment was created in 2017, specifically to help mitigate the potential loss of institutional knowledge as a result of a retirement. I request your approval of the budget amendments, use of assigned fund balance, knowledge training, as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We said roll call for?
For budget amendments, I asked,
Go for it.
if we look into it, let's just do it.
Just do it.
Go for
Commissioner
it.
Frank?
Aye.
Commissioner Madigan?
Aye.
Commissioner Scirocco?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Kelly?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6 is a discussion and vote, budget amendment payroll. Lines 1 through 3 are to record the Stop DWI Grant Award. I request your approval of the budget amendment payroll as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
So should we do the same thing?
Second.
Commissioner Frank?
Aye.
Commissioner Madigan?
Aye.
Commissioner Scirocco?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Mayor Kelly?
Aye.
Great, we did item number 7. And then on to item number 8 is a discussion and vote, budget transfers, payroll, and benefits. Lines 1 through 4 are to cover Laserfish licenses. Lines 5 through 8 are to cover health insurance opt-out payments for new hires. Lines 9 through 12 are to cover sidewalk installation, labor costs. Lines 13 and 14 are to cover increased tuition reimbursement and DPS. Lines 15 through 17 are to purchase a new horse truck. I request your approval of the budget transfers, payroll, and benefits as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I did want to say something about the horse truck. This was really needed, and I don't know, Commissioner Martin, if you're up to speed on this.
Yeah.
But the last one, they almost had a severe,
It
like,
was down in Westchester
Yeah.
County, and the brakes failed on the truck, and fortunately, the trailer had been disconnected, the horse had been unloaded, so that there was no bodily damage. But yeah, the truck was very, very old, and it's better at salvage value.
oh yeah, I mean, as soon as they reached out to me and told me the story, I mean, I think we were very lucky that we didn't have a more tragic situation. So very pleased to have that other one off the road and the funds to move forward to purchase a new one. So do I already did that? We're in discussion? All right, we're done with that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, that completes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign change order number 5 with Actor Corporation for additional asbestos abatement and demolition of the police department sub-basement. DPW electricians recently cleaned up decades of abandoned wires and cables in the ceiling of the police department sub-basement. This work allowed access to a layer of friable insulation paper hidden above the ceiling, which would prohibit renovations proposed for the space. This change order number 5 is in the amount of $59,607, and includes abatement of the friable paper, encapsulation of inaccessible paper above the police department vault, a small amount of remaining wall panel adhesive, and finally demolition and cleaning of the exterior masonry walls to prepare for the renovations. The 9-day, six-man schedule includes additional time required to remove layers of wood planking and fiberboard in the ceiling to access the friable paper. Therefore, I move for the mayor to sign change order number 5 with Actor Corporation in the amount of $59,607 for the additional asbestos abatement and demolition in the police department sub-basement, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
And I just want to say, when our guys got in there, our electricians got in there, they saved the city a lot of money because I went down there and looked at it, and it was a spider web. It was bad. It, you know, suspended ceilings hide a lot of sin, and basically that's what was going on down there. You know, wires that were just abandoned and stuff like that, but the guys went and did a great job, so I'm proud of them. Second item on my agenda, discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign change order number 6 with Actor Corporation for additional asbestos abatement and demolition of the music hall. In the course of performing the city hall abatement, asbestos paper was encountered in a remote, inaccessible location above the music hall stage. This paper was originally installed as a fireproofing layer on the wall that separates the main attic from the stage to protect the attic wood framing from the hot stage lighting. Over the years, this friable asbestos paper has been torn, scattered throughout the area, creating a substantial unintentional disturbance. Due to the remote location and difficult conditions, it is impractical to perform the abatement in strict accordance with Industrial Code Rule Number 56. We applied for and were granted a relief by the New York State Department of Labor, resulting in a lowered abatement cost of $123,121. This cost includes 3 separate scaffolding decks, 2 15 feet and 1 21 foot high, to provide workers with a safe walking surface. Debris will need to be handed down 1 bag at a time to the stage below. The 18-day 6-man schedule also includes additional time for removal, cleaning, and reinstallation of the contaminated floor planks. This work will help us to stay on schedule and avoid delay claims during the proposed music hall renovations. Therefore, I move for the mayor to sign change order number 6 with Actor Corporation in the amount of $123,121 for the additional asbestos abatement and demolition of the music hall, and I put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Third item on my agenda is discussion and vote, and this is authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Barton and Judas for continued engineering services of the Niagara Mohawk Superfund site at Red Spring. This agreement with Barton and Judas in the amount of $10,000 is for continued professional oversight and engineering review services during the ongoing remediation activities at the Red Spring Superfund site. Barton and LaJudas staff will continue to perform periodic site inspections of the construction activities to ensure that the construction protocols and procedures outlined in the remedial action work plan are being properly adhered to by the on-site contractor. Again, after each inspection, Barton and Judas will provide the city with a construction status progress report. Niagara Mohawk has already reimbursed the city $10,000 for the engineering services. So therefore, I move for the mayor to sign an agreement with Barton and Judas in the amount of $10,000 for the continued engineering services of the Niagara Mohawk Superfund site at the Red Spring, and I put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
The fourth item on my agenda is just an announcement for the week of June 3rd, and this is our paving schedule. Monday, June 3rd, which was yesterday, we are milling Flying Dutchman Way from Regatta View Drive to the turnaround. Tuesday, June 4th, today, we milled Waterview Drive from Crescent Avenue to Cassidy Drive. Wednesday, June 5th, we're going to pave Flying Dutchman Way from Regatta View Drive to the turnaround. And Thursday, June 6th, we're going to pave Waterview Drive from Crescent Avenue to Cassidy Drive. And again, updated milling and paving schedules can be found on the city's website for anybody that's interested. Item number 6 is discussion and vote. This is authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Amrex Chemical Company in the amount of $15,900 for hydrofluorosilicic acid and sodium silico fluoride chemicals for the water treatment plant. Amrex will supply the city with hydrofluorosilicic acid and fluoride, which is fluoride powder, in the amount of $15,900. Payment will be broken down as the following: $7,950 for fiscal year 2019, and the remainder $7,950 to be paid in the fiscal year 2020. Funding is in budget line F363-8334-54141. Therefore, I move for the mayor to sign an agreement with Amex Chemical Company in the amount of $15,900 for the hydrofluorosilicic acid and sodium silicofluoride chemicals for the water treatment plant, and put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Boy, they're tongue twisters. That's all I can tell you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Item number 7 is a discussion vote, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Fassy and Bestoff LLC in the amount of $5,370 for copper sulfate chemicals for the water treatment plant. Fassy and Bestoff will be supplying copper sulfate in the amount of $5,370. Payments will be broken down as the following: $2,685 for fiscal year 2019, and the remainder of $2,685 to be paid during fiscal year 2020. Funding is in budget line F363-8334-54141, and therefore I move for the mayor to sign an agreement with Fassy and Bestoff in the amount of $5,370 for copper sulfate chemicals for the water treatment plant, and to put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Item number 8, discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Holland Company Incorporated in the amount of $60,637.50 for polyaluminum chloride chemicals for the water treatment plant. Holland Company supplies us with polyaluminum chloride. This is used in the treatment process to congeal and suspended organic matter in the water and make it a bigger mass for removal. Holland Company is a sole supplier. Payments will be broken down as follows: $30,318.75 for fiscal year 2019, and the remainder $30,318.75 to be paid in fiscal year 2020. Again, funding is in budget line F363-8334-54141, and therefore I move for the mayor to sign an agreement with Holland Company in the amount of $60,637.50 for polyaluminum chloride chemicals for the water treatment plant, and put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
And I have a number 9, but I don't see
No,
number 9.
it's actually number 8.
Oh, it's number-
Yeah, your numbers are
6
all.
was 7,
it's
your
okay.
7 was 8.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We were
He's on
talking.
page
My trust is it. Okay.
You're number 8.
This is discussion and vote. Yes, you're right. Discussion and vote. Authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Surpass Chemical Company Incorporated in the amount of $57,900 for sodium hypochlorite and orthophosphate chemicals for the water treatment plant. Surpass Chemical Company will supply the orthophosphate chemical for our corrosion control improvements. Surpass Chemical will also supply us with liquid sodium hypochlorite for the disinfection purposes at the water treatment plant. Payments will be broken down as following: $28,795 for fiscal year 2019, and the remainder $28,795 to be paid in the fiscal year 2020. Funding is in budget line number F363-8334-54141. Therefore, I move for the mayor to sign an agreement with Surpass Chemical Company in the amount of $57,590 for sodium hypochlorite and orthophosphate chemicals for the water treatment plant. I put that in a form of motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
And that concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to public safety.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item I have is an announcement, and that's the designation of our acting police chief. I've designated Assistant Chief John Catone as acting chief of police as of last Friday, May 31st, following the retirement of former Chief Greg Veach. Assistant Chief Catone will act as chief until a permanent appointment of new chief can be made. Assistant Chief Catone, who we all know here, is the longest serving officer in our Saratoga Springs Police Department. He brings with him a wealth of knowledge, and I feel great confidence that he will perform all of the duties of chief until we can appoint a permanent chief. We hope to have the results of the civil service exam back so we can appoint a new chief permanently as soon as possible. The second item on my agenda is an announcement, just giving you an update on the Union Avenue pedestrian improvement project. The Department of Public Safety will begin implementing a number of pedestrian upgrades to the intersection of Union Avenue and Regent Street. This week, they're actually marking all of the underground utilities for the street opening. Next week, they begin the actual construction work. If you think of Union Street at that intersection with Regent, it is very wide. I mean, essentially there's...
You're Union Avenue.
Union Avenue,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Union Avenue, yes. It is 2 lanes of parking, 4 lanes of traffic, and a buffer lanes. That's actually 7 lanes wide. It's going to be hopefully much easier to cross when we have the proper lights flashing, when we have a protected island in the middle for people who are crossing, when we have the crosswalks more correctly lined up. So that work, as I say, that they're actually beginning on the markings this week, they're beginning on the physical construction next week, should be completed within 3 weeks' time is what once they started, within 3 weeks' time is what I'm told. So hopefully by the time track season starts, it'll be all set.
Yeah, it's a difficult street to cross. You're absolutely right.
It
about
is.
that.
With the condos
tough.
there now
Yes.
and everybody.
It's really
And Empire State College, there's a lot of people coming out of there.
We drive by there almost every day and it's like cars are just.
Yeah.
When we did the Boston Avenue project, that's what we did too. We put a median in there right behind Ray Walking Apartments there,
Right.
in that area there. And it made it a lot safer for people to cross because they had a safety net. They get across the 1 lane, actually 2 lanes, get into that one area in the center with that light flashing, and then at least it would make the cars aware that there's people that are going
Yeah.
to cross. So that's something that was probably needed for a long time over there. So
That's great.
good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is,
Yeah.
that's the end of my agenda.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. On to the supervisors. Supervisor Beach.
Thank you, Mayor. First on my agenda is just a quick announcement on the June 18th City Council meeting. I just wanted to announce that I will not be in attendance at the June 18th meeting. I will be in New Jersey for work trip at that point, so I unfortunately will not be here, so everybody have a great meeting without me.
Oh, we'll miss you.
Second on the agenda is just a quick update on the Saratoga County landfill profit sharing program. Kind of a long history, but Saratoga County had established a landfill in the town of Northumberland, I think I believe in the late 1980s. They had it open for many years, never took 1 single pound of garbage in it, so we spent a lot of money on a landfill that we never really used. People's habits changed, we started recycling, and basically it was a insurance policy for if we ever needed it that we never needed. So back around 2012 or so, we set up the process of selling our landfill. We sold it to a private company. They now are using that, and it is collecting garbage at this time. We collect tipping fees off of that, which are then shared with the county. So as part of the arrangement for selling the landfill, the county is collecting a portion of the tipping fees. We're at a point now where we have enough the county's collected a certain amount, and as part of our sale and resolutions that we did at the county after that, part of those fees are actually to be distributed back to the municipalities. So I believe it's either going to be this month or next month, the county will be passing a resolution authorizing the payment of those funds to the individual municipalities. Saratoga Springs is scheduled to receive, and again, the final amount hasn't been determined, but somewhere in the range of the low 6 figures to come back to the city. So it basically would just be funding unbudgeted coming into the city from Saratoga County based on the landfill profit sharing. So every community is going to get a certain amount of funding, and since we're the 2nd largest community in the county, we're going to get the 2nd largest amount of funding. So don't spend it all in one place. And that's my agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Gaston.
The first item on my agenda is just to note that June's schedule for county meetings is up. As always, I keep it on my official Facebook page, and it's out on the county, and our meetings start tomorrow with Human Resources and Insurance and Health and Social Services. So if you're interested in any of the particular meetings, including meetings about economic development or what we're going to do with our landfill cash, that's how you find out when we're meeting to get that information. The second item is to note that the Veteran Service Agency is having a meeting this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at 2144 Doubleday, which is the home of the Veteran Service Agency. Dr. Gus Kapler, a former soldier in Vietnam, will be speaking about his experiences there and his work with veterans now. These sorts of events have been very helpful for the veterans in the county that have attended them. So if you're interested, I know the Veteran Service Agency does have an event on Facebook if you want more details. And the last item is just a reminder, the Year of Senior Celebration is on June 26th in Congress Park. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. There may be a dunking booth. I heard Supervisor Veach might be in it. There will be...
How about you?
Sure, why not? Especially if it's going to get to 80 that day like it has been. There will be lots of free food for our seniors. Everyone will get to take home a water bottle. And you can get pins for the celebration here.
Yes,
now.
I have them.
And you can also get them at the Saratoga Senior Center, or if you're outside of the city, at your local senior center. And it'll be from 11 to 3, and it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. And we will be recognizing our Saratoga Springs Senior Center for the work that they do in our community as well. So I invite all of the council to come as we honor them there. And that concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor Gaston. Any other business from the council? Then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Public Affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pennell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.